Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Is like Sunday the first day of the week or the last day of the week? I don't know, but it's Sunday. You're looking amazing, and we're going to get straight into some meat and potatoes as we do talk about the Jay Slater case. And look, yesterday saw Jay Slater put to rest. And I think what a lot of us are going to be doing now is to wait to see whether the case is put to rest, whether the funeral marks not only kind of closing the chapter on Jay Slater's life, but whether his legacy is left as it is. And that is a legacy that would say that Jay Slater was just a typical teen who had a bit of a sketchy past. He'd turned his life around. He'd got involved in some work that would go on to see him starting a business with a friend, and he was going to have a good life. He had a love of music, so he went on holiday. He went on a holiday with some friends to enjoy dancing and music. Because what we're going to do in this video is we're not going to think about all of the intricacies of the Jay Slater case. We're just going to focus on accepting for a moment that this is the narrative, the way this, how it happened is what people want us to think this is how it happened. Because, make no bones about it, if that's still what happened, there's still some huge issues here. And as a parent myself, it concerns me. Because this is something that we see over and over and over again. We saw it in the Kylie Rodney case. Again, if you strip away and let's not think about the potentials for nefarious things that could have happened, let's just think that, okay, it was just a bunch of youths who just simply didn't look out for one another. Look out for one another. Look out for one another. They didn't. You know, Kylie Rodney drowned potentially because she was drunk and her friends fucking left her and she ended up driving her vehicle into the water. If that's how you want to play it, let's play it that way. Riley Strain goes out with friends, ends up getting absolutely mangled and ends up falling into the water and drowning. There's some cases that are so frustrating because we as adults can look at it from the outside in and think to ourselves, look, that was avoidable. This was a tragic situation that was just so easily avoidable, and that would have simply been if the youths of today lived by the principles that we lived by when we was younger. That we would hope to teach our children and for that to be instilled in them. Just as simple as if you go out together, you return home together. You look after one another. And some people fucking freak out and when you're talking about this. Like, I got some comments in one of my older videos when I was talking about this, and it was like, fucking, you're woke and you're stuff. Fuck, you're woke. It's not about being woke. It's about people just looking out for one another, because sometimes there are situations that warrant that. It warrants for you to look out for your friend. If your friend is in a bad way or you're in a situation that could potentially have repercussions like we've seen in Riley Strain, like in Kylie Rodney case, like in Jay Slater's case, and these aren't extraordinary cases. These are just the cases that got big for some reason because social media got hold of it and we all ran with it. But there are cases that get lost and buried and you don't see them, you don't hear about them, but they're happening all the time. And it needs to stop. Jay Slater, again, as aforementioned them, he goes on holiday with his friends abroad. Supposedly the first time that he'd gone abroad without his family. So he is going to a foreign country with his friends to do something that he loves with the people that he loves. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong. Something went wrong here, which meant that he was no longer with his friends. And he ended up with people that were ex-convicts or at least one of them was an ex-convict. And look, this guy may have turned his fucking life around. He may have done. He may be a nice guy. I don't know the fucking guy. But the way in which he's behaved after the event doesn't seem to me to be indicative of a guy who's turned his life around. Doesn't at all. We've watched him publicly try and turn a situation into a money-making scheme. Telling people that they can speak to people about this on his terms if they pay money. And I wait for it again because I listen to the multiple people who'll go in the comments and say, you're doing the same thing. Fuck off. I'm a content creator. That's what I do. This is my work. I don't come to your work, I've said this before, and kick the cock out of your mouth. So don't do it here because I'm bored of it and I'll just block you. My concern is that we're just going to keep seeing this. And we're also going to have cases that we don't see, but it still keeps happening. So Jay Slater's legacy, if anything, if we don't want to go down the route of looking at what could have potentially been what happened here, that there could have been some sort of nefarious situation, because ultimately that's down to his parents. That's down to his parents because he's their responsibility to decide whether they are happy or they're not. And if they're happy, they're happy. Maybe they know these people and they trust these people. They've known them to a much deeper level than what any of us have seen, which is just surface level via social media. You know, some people had questioned Lucy Law and whether she had attended the funeral. She did attend the funeral, but I see multiple comments saying that she never. She did. She attended. She was one of the last people to speak, and she put up a picture on her Snapchat of her holding, well, it wasn't, it was like a Jay Slater style picture where she just took a picture of the rose and a reference to his dancing. But where were they when Jay really needed them? Where were they then? Why were they able to go abroad on their own as a group of friends, but seemingly fuck up so bad that this boy felt that the best thing that he could do, the best decision that he could make, was to try and walk an 11-hour hike in a foreign country with no water, no phone, wearing a shorts and t-shirts. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. But I'm willing to step back and say, okay, if that's what happened, that's what happened. But how did he end up where he got to? At what point in the evening was that break where it went from a bunch of friends together to a bunch of friends that had fractured somehow, and Jay Slater ended up with people who were nowhere near where he was, and he ended up going, this drive to this place out in the, and it weren't to sleep there, because he didn't sleep there. By the time he got there, it would have been about 5:30, 6 in the morning. He left an hour and a half later, seemingly turning down a lift. And I thought to myself, well, if he's thinking it's going to take me 11 hours to walk, and even if he'd have had to have waited 5 to 6 hours for a lift, it's still he's going to get home quicker with less energy, less effort, less danger. But he overlooked all that. So I beg the question, was Jay even ready to go abroad on his own? Was he of the right mind to be trusted with that? And only his parents know. And if they do think that he did, he was smart enough and he wouldn't have made these decisions, then that's the absolute reason why they shouldn't just accept it. But the lessons should be learned in these cases. The legacy of the lost should be that people do better, that they understand how quickly things can go wrong and will go wrong. Rest in peace, Jay. For whatever you did in the past, you didn't deserve to have your life cut tragically short in the way that it did. The downside is we'll truly never, ever know what happened. But something went wrong. No different than it did in the Kylie Rodney case, in the Riley Strain case, and in the many cases that we don't see gain the attention that these cases do. Something went wrong. Even in missing children's cases. Madeleine McCann, one of the biggest we'll probably ever see. Something went wrong there. When will people start waking up? When will people be held accountable? When will the penny finally drop and understand that we all have to look out for one another? It ain't about being woke. It's just about not being a wanker. I'll catch you all tomorrow.